Okay, guys, now this is the second part of these notes. And, you know, we're just starting to really talk about geometry, and that's why we're having to spend a lot of time on vocabulary to make sure that we all have the same terms and we know what we're talking about. Now, we had started talking about quadrilaterals with the trapezoid. Remember, a trapezoid has 4 sides, and 2 of those sides are parallel. We have a pair of parallel lines. Now, the next one that we're going to talk about, it's a quadrilateral. Again, it has 4 sides, and it has 2 pairs of parallel lines. All right, and we need to talk about notation here. All right, this side is parallel to this one, and I know it because they both have 1 arrow. Okay, the 2 sides with 1 arrow are parallel to each other. Now you'll notice that the other 2 sides, I don't want to put 1 arrow there because that would mean they're parallel to the blue ones, and they're not. So I'm putting 2 arrows. So the sides that have 2 arrows are parallel to each other. All right, so you understand the notation means that the sides that have the same number of arrows, those are ones that are parallel to each other. A parallelogram is like a trapezoid, except that it has 2 parallel sides. All right, or 2 pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so that's a parallelogram. Now, these two, well, the next 3 things are interesting, but this one, the rhombus and the rectangle, they're kind of related. Let's talk about the rhombus first. Okay? A rhombus is a parallelogram, but it's a special kind of parallelogram. It's a parallelogram where all the sides are equal in length. Okay? So you can look at it, it kind of looks like a square that's been pushed over on its side. All right? It's a little tilted, like, you know, someone needs to come and fix it. Okay? And all of the sides are equal. That's what these dashes mean. They all have the same length. That's what a rhombus is. Now, a rectangle is a parallelogram where all the angles are equal. Not the sides, but all the angles. All right, so you can see rhombus is a parallelogram where all the sides are equal. A rectangle is a parallelogram where all the angles are equal, right? And a square is a parallelogram where both's true. All the sides are equal and all the angles are equal. So the thing to remember is that a square is a rectangle. It's a special kind. It's one where all the sides are equal. A square is a rhombus. It's a special kind. It's a rhombus where all the angles are equal. A square is a parallelogram. It's a special kind. It's where all of the sides and all of the angles are equal. All right? Okay, now 2 more things before we're done with the intro, and then we can look at a few examples. First thing, guys, the diagonal of a polygon. It's a line that can connect vertices that are not next to each other. They're non-adjacent. Because if I connected 2 sides that were, 2 corners that were adjacent to each other, that would just be a side, right? If I connected this one to this one, well, that's just a side. But if I connect these 2, that's a diagonal because the 2 corners are not next to each other. So a piece of vocabulary here. A corner is called a vertex. More than one if I have a vertex, I have more than them. The plural of vertex is vertices. Okay? This is called education, which means learning terms. All right? Now, if I connect 2 vertices that are not next to each other, I've got a diagonal. All right? So in a rectangle, I can draw that diagonal and I can draw this one. So I can draw 2 there. Okay? And then the last little note here, we talked about this yesterday with triangles. The sum of the angles of a triangle are equal to 180 degrees. But the sum of the angles of a quadrilateral equal 360. And you can see why that's true. If I take the quadrilateral and I draw a diagonal, it splits it into 2 triangles. And if I add up the degrees from the 2 triangles, I get 360 degrees. Okay? All right. Good job, guys. Now we're going to go and do some examples.